Today is the release day for Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, the Stonemaier Games release. We're the publisher of the game. We partnered with Bezier Games, who put out one of my favorite games, Castles of Mad King Ludwig, a few years ago. And this was designed by the designers of Between Two Cities, Ben Rossett and Matthew O'Malley. Obviously, this is a game that I was very involved with, that I published, but this isn't a review channel. I'm just talking about favorite mechanisms, so I can do that for my own games, which I love doing. So there are two mechanisms that I really want to highlight here because they really make this game work so well. My group has played it a number of times. We're going through this score pad rather quickly. But the first one, so this is a drafting game, and one problem you can have in drafting games is you start out with a big hand of tiles or cards, tiles in this game, and you're a little bit overwhelmed with all that information. You don't know what to do with it. And Ben and Matthew put just a little subtle touch in here that I really liked, in that each castle starts out with a unique throne room. They all look pretty much the same, except you can see the icons down here at the bottom. It's basically saying you get 2 points per tiles of this type that are shown on the tile that are in a certain position around this tile. I like things like this that give players a little bit of direction early in the game without dictating their entire strategy. While I love asymmetry in games, I think that can work well, this is not really an asymmetric game. This is just a little starting nudge when you have all that information in your hand at the beginning and you need some sort of direction. I think this works really, really well. It also gives you the feeling of scoring points right away, so you get that feeling of satisfaction. Oh, we've already scored points. Our castle is doing well. The other thing that Ben and Matthew, I think, did really, really well with this, and they were directly inspired by Castles of Mad King Ludwig and a little bit of Palace of Mad King Ludwig here, is that, here are the little scoring reference cards. In Castles of Mad King Ludwig, when one of your castles has 3 tiles of the same type, you get a unique bonus. So if I have a castle, if I've placed my 3rd food room in one of my castles, right away for that castle, I get to draw 5 regular room tiles and pick one and put it in that castle right away. If you listen to this channel for a long time, you know that I love rewarding game mechanisms, things that make you feel good for doing things that you were otherwise already doing in the game. And this is absolutely one of these things in Castles of Mad King Ludwig. There's a whole actually insert that we've designed that's included with the game. But there's another insert too, another tray in the box from Game Trays that has a bunch of the different bonuses that you can get in the game. So for utility rooms, if you get 3 utility rooms, you get a bonus secret scoring tile for the end of the game. Very similar to Castles of Mad King Ludwig. For some of the tiles, there are special tiles that you can get for completion bonuses. There's the fountain, the tower, the grand foyer, and each of those have certain scoring benefits so that you might go after. And one of the cool things here too is, so say I have two sleeping rooms in my tower, and I know when I get the 3rd sleeping room, I'm going to gain, or not in my tower, in my castle, 2 sleeping rooms in my castle, and I know when I gain the 3rd sleeping room, I'm going to gain a tower. And towers score for every tile that's underneath them, but you can't put anything else on top of the tower. So that gives you an interesting decision in the game because you're trying to figure out the timing of, okay, exactly when should we, because you're working with partners, when should we pick the next sleeping room for this castle? Because we know when we do, we have to take a tower tile right away and put it in our castle. So you're kind of working that timing so you can really maximize the placement of these new tiles that you're getting and the various bonuses that you're getting. But overall, I just love the rewarding aspect of it. I like that actually similar to the starting tile, I like that it gives you a little bit of direction because there is a second drafting round where you draw a whole new hand of 9 tiles and you draft again going the other way. And so at that point, again, you're a little overwhelmed with information, but you know, okay, I have 2 outdoor rooms in my castle. We should probably get 1 more in this castle. It also gives you a lot to talk about with your partners as you're passing them tiles. After you've passed, you can freely talk about what you're hoping they'll pick next or what you might go after in your castle. So it leads to a lot of this collaborative feel where you're like, okay, we have 2 outdoor rooms, we have 2 food rooms, we should probably get those at a certain point. You're discussing constantly what you should do with your castle on the next turn or in future turns. Yeah, this is gonna sound biased, but I love this game. It plays from 2 to 7 players. It doesn't have a solo mode yet. We might do that in an expansion, but it's been one of the go-to groups of my game over the summer in particular. We just played it a ton, especially when we had 6 or 7 players, because you can play it in the same amount of time for any player count. It takes around 40, maybe 50 minutes max to play this game. I've been having a blast with it. Today is the retail release day, so I hope if you are curious about drafting games, tile placement games, competitive games that have a little bit of collaboration to them, and if you like the mechanisms I've mentioned here, I hope you'll check it out. Even if you just demo it in your game store and give it a try, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. So if you've played this game, some people do have early copies, and you have a favorite mechanism that you'd like to talk about in the comments, I would love to hear your thoughts there. Or if any of these mechanisms that I've described give you any thoughts about other games that maybe use little nudges at the beginning to give you some direction, especially in games where you're overwhelmed with a lot of information at the beginning of the game or at the beginning of the next drafting round. Or if completion bonuses, like the completion bonuses of having 3 of a kind. There's also a 5 of a kind bonus in here that I didn't mention. If you can think of other games that have that, I'd love to hear about those mechanisms in the comments too. Thanks.